No matter what they do, a public figure's fame can disappear in an instant. And for these actors, that instant happened on live TV. The 2022 Academy Awards could have been the greatest night in Will Smith's professional life. Instead of celebrating the victory of his first ever Oscar win, however, Smith's behavior that evening ensured the world will remember the ceremony for an entirely different reason. You may have witnessed the incident yourself, either when it unfolded live during the ceremony or in the subsequent media barrage. Host Chris Rock cracked a joke at the expense of Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Smith replied by walking up to Rock, slapping him in the face, striding back to his seat, and following up his physical assault with some explicit verbal threats. What's more, Smith couldn't just slink away from the ceremony afterwards. He was up for the Best Actor award, which he went on to win and proceeded to give a very awkward acceptance speech. It's hard to measure how much the slap has impacted Smith's public profile, since he's been uncharacteristically quiet on the movie front since the incident. His sole 2022 movie, Emancipation, came out on Apple TV+, and thus its success can't be measured by conventional box office numbers. As an Oscar-winning A-lister, Smith has kept working, and even if the screen roles dry up, he has his career as a producer to fall back on. Still, regardless of what the future holds for him, it's probably fair to say that the 2022 incident has severely tarnished his family-friendly image.
My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
Not every Saturday Night Live performance is a winner, but Steven Seagal may have been the show's worst ever host. Seagal hosted one fateful show on April 20th, 1991, and did a legendarily awful job. He showcased zero sense of humor, acting ability, or basic cooperation skills, resulting in a humorless and uncomfortable affair. Seagal never returned to host, but has been imitated on the show multiple times. Being a horrible SNL host didn't immediately end the martial arts man's career, but it's clear that it was a pivotal moment in his timeline nonetheless. As the film critic Verne pointed out in his book, Seagalogy, 1991 marks the end of the star's so-called golden era. He still had a few successes lined up, including 1992's Under Siege. Still, not long after the SNL gig showcased Seagal's weirder side to the world, he stopped being an implacable action man as news about his more questionable traits started coming out. These days, Seagal is well known for allegations of him physically and sexually abusing colleagues, and the oft-reported tale about legendary martial artist Gene LeBell humiliating Seagal by choking him out so hard he soiled himself. As for his movie output, Seagal soon drifted into the land of straight-to-DVD, where he resides whenever he's not promoting Vladimir Putin in Russia. After comedian Jamie Kennedy broke through as Randy Meeks in 1996's Scream, he started turning up in movies alongside A-listers like Will Smith, Eddie Murphy, and George Clooney. He also had a sweet, varied TV career, with projects like his own The Jamie Kennedy Experiment, the CBS supernatural procedural Ghost Whisperer, and the animated The Cleveland Show. Since around 2013, however, his roles have been mostly obscure. As it happens, there's a particular abysmal live TV event that coincides with his career trajectory. It's called First Night, and it was a 2012 New Year's Eve special hosted by Kennedy on California TV station KDOC. The event turned out to be so awful that it ended up going viral. It was a chaotic, troubled affair where few things worked. Kennedy and others often seemed out of their depth, and a brawl broke out at the closing moment, prompting the host to beg the viewers to go watch something else.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In an interview with the New York Times, Kennedy insisted that the messiness was intentional. He explained, "It was totally supposed to be like that. We wanted to make almost an anti-New Year's Eve show, and the recipe calls for unexpected. We had an open bar for our guests. We were unrehearsed. It was not glamorous." He also expressed a wish to do similar specials in the future. However, this was the last night of First Night, and Kennedy has since focused on projects like straight-to-video Tremors sequels. Some of the most controversial Saturday Night Live skits have jumped headfirst into politics or various cultural issues. Charles Rocket, on the other hand, took a different route during SNL Season 6. The show's producer at the time, Gene Dumanian, had pegged him as the potential superstar of the season's cast, which is saying something. After all, the show had already featured comedians such as John Belushi, Chevy Chase, and Bill Murray. Funny enough, Rocket's new set of SNL co-stars also included Eddie Murphy, who went on to become pretty successful himself. Rocket never got the chance to become such an illustrious name. After ending a Dallas-themed sketch on the February 21, 1981 show by inserting a casual F-bomb in his final line, he promptly got fired.
That's the first time I've ever been shot in my life. I'd like to know who did it.
Dumanian's tenure with the show had already been troublesome, as she had produced what's considered to be one of the worst Saturday Night Live seasons ever. After Rocket's four-letter word, the executives had had enough. The producer and Rocket made their apologies and were soon shown the door. Rocket didn't stop acting. He became a TV journeyman with a laundry list of guest star stints and recurring roles. He even had roles in major films like Dances with Wolves and Dumb and Dumber. Still, his screen career was never even close to the heights of the SNL stars he was once compared to.